Welcome to an official walkthrough Divi Mobi first column classes plugin. In this video, we're going to show you how to use a couple of the features within the plugin to create some really impressive mobile adapted layouts using nothing but the Divi builder and its native modules. Let's begin. First, let's look at the plugin backend. After installation and activation, you will be greeted with a simple admin layout with an all too familiar color scheme. As you click on each accordion, you will see the details of each feature and how it is to be applied. Now here's the layout we want to take a look at. And for the sake of time, instead of building it from scratch, we will examine each module and its property to see what was done. On the top, we have a single regular section with one row and one column. Underneath that, we have a specialty section with one column on the left and a row layout with two columns on the right. Then we have a regular section with two inline rows. And then we have three inline regular sections for our image gallery with a hidden section below it. And finally, for the footer, we just have another regular section with one row as a single column. Now the specialty section chosen here was this one. For the background, we have a simple polygonal image overlaid with a semi-translucent linear gradient. For sizing, the inner width has been adjusted to 95% for the mobile view, while the padding is set to 0 pixels for the top and the bottom. For the single column on the left, we selected a slider module. We removed the arrows and adjusted the title text size for the different views. We changed the max width to 100% and made some changes to the padding. For the row, we chose a two-column layout and added two blurbs, one on each side. The first blurb is simply a short title and description with an icon aligned to the left. The sizing, however, was adjusted to 150%, and a custom margin was then added to the blurb title for the top and the bottom. The second blurb is an icon with a circle border, and its width was set to 50 pixels. I also added a 10 pixel margin to the top for the spacing. Now here comes the best part. By default, the two-column layout changes to one-column layout on the mobile device, more so the phone view. This is where we added a class, mobile-2-column, to constrain the positioning and keep it at two columns. As we refer to our class list within the plugin, number 1 on the chart is associated with this class name. Click on the text box and it will automatically copy to your clipboard. Then go over to your layout and paste it in the CSS class text box under the Advanced tab. And that's it for this section. For the next section, we have a regular section with two rows inlined with each other, where the first row has 4 columns and the second row has 1. From the section settings, we simply added a 0 padding to the top and bottom, and we added our section class, which inlines the two rows within the section container side by side on desktop only. This info can be obtained from within the plugin's admin page under the Row tab. Next, let's look at the row settings. We have 4 columns with a blurb module in each one. For the blurb, we added a title and an icon aligned to the top. I adjusted the icon size for each view differently, added a top padding of 10 pixels And for the blurb title, I added a negative top margin to narrow the gap between the icon and the title. This was repeated for each blurb, where a negative 60-degree transformation was added to this icon to make things just a little more interesting. Now, in order to keep the 4-column layout on the mobile view, we added our 4-column class to the row. These options can be obtained from within the plugin's admin page under the Row tab. Here we see that for the 4-column layout, we can apply 3 different classes at a time, depending on what we want to accomplish. In this case, we want to keep the 4 rows on all views, so we chose this one. If we want to convert it to 2 rows on the mobile view, meaning for both tablet and phone view, we'll choose this one. And likewise, if we want a 3-row layout, we'll choose this one. Let's see how this works. From 4 columns to 2 columns, it will look like this. And from 4 columns to 3 columns, this is what happens. Now for the next row, we have a bottom module in a single column with a center alignment and some custom styles. Let's move on to the 3-section layout, which was used for the images. In the first section, we have 2 rows. The first row has a 2/5 by 3/5 layout, and the row below it has a 3/5 by 2/5 layout, each using its respective class name. This information is given within the plugin's admin page, as seen indicated on numbers 6 and 7. At this point, it must be noted that the prefix mobile will maintain the layout on both the tablet and phone view. For the tablet only, the prefix desktop is used, and for the phone only, we use the prefix phone. Now, for the middle row, the same concept was used. I used a 2-column row layout for both the top and the bottom. Then we applied this class to maintain the 2 columns on the mobile view. The last row is a single column without any class. But before we look at the classes used for the 3 sections, let's look at the settings for each row. The gutter size width was set to 1. The width was set to 100%, and the padding and margin was set to 0. This was done for each row. Now, the background images that you see was added to the columns. Within each column, a call to action module was added. A title was given, it was center aligned, the color was set to white, and the text size was adjusted to suit my preference. Now the top padding was adjusted based on the height given for each view. So for the desktop view, a height of 300 pixels was set, and a top padding of 120 pixels was set to match the height. For the tablet view, a height of 400 pixels was set with a padding of 170 pixels, and for the phone view, a height of 150 pixels was used, and a padding of 55 pixels was set to the top to match that height. This is where your discretion will be to your liking. Now, these settings will apply to all the call to action modules in the first 2 sections. For the last section, the height was doubled for each view, and the top padding was adjusted to suit. Lastly, for the hover effect, I enabled the hover feature on the background for the call to action module, where I set the default background to transparent and a translucent gradient to the hover background. And to hide the text, I added a hover to the opacity filter where I set the default to 0% and the hover to 100%. Now let's look at the regular section settings. If we go to the Advanced tab, we will see the class used. This class enables 3 sections to be in line with each other for the desktop view only. By default, the width is set to 33.33%, but this can be overridden by adjusting the width once they all add up to 100% in total. So for the left and the middle section, the width was set to 42%, and the width for the section to the right was set to 16%. 42 plus 42 plus 16 is equal to 100. In addition to that, the top and bottom padding was set to 0. Now, to ensure that the sections display correctly, we need to add our close-off section class to either a hidden section below it or to the very next section that comes after this layout. In this case, I chose to use an empty section and set its height to 0. And that's it. In another video, we shall go even more in depth where we can use shortcodes to come up with some really cool designs that would have never been possible without it. There is more to this plugin, but we thank you for watching this video and we hope it will help some of you to make a more conscientious decision when making a purchase. And to those who already have this plugin, we know you are enjoying the experience. We are truly grateful for all your support thus far, and we are indeed motivated to keep giving you value for your investment. Peace, love, and respect.